Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in again. This is the Schmucker Productions podcast. Tonight's guest is Chris Cunningham. He is a member of two local bands here in town that like to continue a tradition on that's been going on for a long time, and another band that him and a buddy started, and that's what we're going to dive into tonight and talk about. And their upcoming performances
A few.
here on St. Patrick's Day weekend. So how you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
No, I appreciate you being here. So let everyone know a little bit about yourself, and then dive into telling us about one of the bands.
Yeah, we can take them one at a time. Like I said, I'm Chris Cunningham. I've been playing music here in Indianapolis in a few different capacities with a few different bands for about 20 years now. I started off as a drummer mostly, and then when I moved into an apartment, drums were not quite the most welcome instrument for me to practice. So just out of necessity to play something, I started picking up more string instruments, and so kind of became a jack of all trades and master of absolutely none of them.
Right.
Over the last 10 years or so, I've primarily been focusing more on Irish music, folk music, country and the like. And then obviously like our discussion today is all about the Irish music here in Indianapolis and some of the cool showcases we have for that over St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Right on. So with the weekend coming up here, you was telling me about you play at the Raskeller. So tell me a little bit about your history with working there and why it's such a tradition for you.
Man, we could talk about the Raskeller. That could take up this entire episode, actually. So the tradition there started. We'll talk about the Irish Airs because that'll be the most relevant for that.
Okay.
So my father moved here from Ireland. He was born and raised in Dublin, and then he moved here a few years after my grandfather died in the 70s. Toured with a couple bands, and end up setting up roots here in Indianapolis. Met my mom, started a family. But while I was a baby, he started playing a lot more Irish music, and so he plays guitar and sings. We had a fiddle player come through, and a guy who played a little bit like me. He played tenor banjo, bouzouki, a little bit of guitar, concertina, which is like the pirate accordion, like little, a few different instruments. They started gigging around when I was literally in a cradle, and then in the 90s, my dad was actually working at the Raskeller as a manager in the back, like a kitchen manager or food and beverage manager, something along those lines. And when it came time for St. Patrick's Day, he kind of, nudged his boss and says, I play Irish music and we have a lot of room. We could do a big event here. Like, let's do it. And it grew quite a bit. I mean, the first year was apparently huge. I think I was still in school, so I wasn't there to be able to experience it for its first few years. But according to the people who were there, like, the place wasn't prepared for how many people were going to be coming to this event. I guess they ran out of food. Yeah, they may have ran out of beer, I think, or at least Guinness. But every year since then, they've been a lot more prepared. It's a great, huge event now. Dan McMichael is the one who's in charge of it now over at the Raskeller, and he runs a tight ship there. He does a great job. Everything is always where it needs to be, when it needs to be there. It's logistically, it's always fantastic. And so for the last 25 years, I guess, it's been my family's tradition. Actually, oh my gosh, it's 2025. It's 30 years. Oh my gosh, this show's been going on for 30 years.
That's phenomenal, though. That's a staple.
I'd say so. And that room is special, not just for the music, although if you've seen any show at the Raskeller, especially in the beer garden, it's just a very special venue. But it's also, the ballroom is actually the room where my wife and I got married back in 2017. Yeah. So there's just been a lot of reasons to feel for my family to feel very attached to that venue. But yeah, my dad Yeah, so my dad ran it for years, the band that is, and it grew. We had a few lineup changes. I came in, a few people shuffled out, and as time went on, I started taking a little bit more of a bigger role in the band, both with some of the promotion, some of the marketing materials. And then I was starting to play some more instruments and actually found myself getting to sing a few songs, which I didn't think I was capable of doing a few years beforehand, let alone I didn't think they'd let me, because I was, at one point I was the youngest person in that band by about, I think the next youngest person was probably 30 years older than I am.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so it was easy for me to see, for easy people to see me as, Brian's obnoxious kid who's just up there to beat the hell out of a drum and try to look cool.
Yeah.
May have been a shred of truth to that at some point. But yeah, so I with that group, I've been able to kind of grow my own stagecraft and learning how to play songs and talk to an audience and run a band. And so eventually we kind of became, I guess, partners. And then eventually he had to take a step back completely. He'll still sit. If anybody listening is at the Rathskeller on either the 14th or the 17th, you'll still see him sing, I think, 3 songs or so. We're not letting him off that easy. Especially the more songs he gets to sing, the more pressure's off me.
Right.
Yeah.
So, with the shows coming up on the 14th and the 17th, they're at the Rathskeller. What time can people show up for and check that stuff out?
Yeah. I guess that's an important detail to include. So Friday. So the reason for the Friday show is that the tradition is that we play the Rathskeller after the St. Patrick's Day parade downtown. For the longest time, we were playing from 12 to 4. This year, they're moving it a little bit, so we actually start playing after the parade is genuinely over. So on the 14th, we play from 1:30 to 4:30. Okay. It looks like the weather's going to be good, so we will very likely be in the beer garden, which I'm always very excited about. It's a beautiful stage, it's an awesome space. And I mean, just the names, some of the bands that have come through and played on that stage, it makes me really giddy to know I get to play on that same stage. The 17th will be from noon to 4. Okay. That's just going to be a good kickoff to the holiday.
Okay. And with is there admission prices or anything like that people need to know about?
No, actually. So free admission, and at least for the 14th and 17th, they are actually going to be all ages shows as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So which isn't the norm for the Rathskeller. Excuse me. Yeah. Typically, they get a little more lenient, at least for the time that we're playing. And then after we play, it's the Irish Dancers of Indianapolis, which is always a really cool show. And so it's always been kind of cool to see a lot of, parents bring their kids. And my dad's pointed this out before of, the people who were going with their parents when they were kids 25, 30 years ago are now bringing their kids. So it's not just tradition for the Cunningham family, but, for a lot of other families who like to, go downtown, and to be in an event like that is more child friendly.
Yeah. And tell me about this other band that you were telling me about.
Yeah, so Tully's of the Wakefield. That one's a newer project. So new that we don't really have a whole lot online. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page, but we haven't had a chance to do any kind of recording. We actually just added a new member who makes her debut with us this St. Patrick's Day season. But just kind of go back to the very beginning, as I was starting to take a bigger role at the Irish Airs, I wanted to push myself to actually start playing in front of people more. And the Irish Airs weren't really gigging a whole lot at that point. So I went ahead and booked myself some solo shows just to do it, just to see if I could, do it without having any kind of freak out. And they went okay, and I made through without crying too much. And then I got booked for a show, or I talked to a friend who was booking a show up in Muncie, and she sounded really interested in what I was playing and what I could do. But she was very very adamant that it would be better if I came in with a group. and to her, a group just meant if I added one more person. Like, okay. And so one of my best friends is a guy named Matt Seaver. He and I actually met. Oh yeah, go and actually circle back to the Rathskeller. He and I met when I was playing at the Rathskeller on St. Patrick's Day back in 2012, and then got to talk about doing Irish music. Got together, and in 2012 when we got together, neither of us knew any Irish music, so we were like, well, let's just play some, Mumford and Sons and Tripped by Turtles and stuff we do know. But then years later, I got booked to play the show up at Muncie, and I needed a partner apparently. So Matt, my wife has called Matt my musical soulmate. So I think there probably is a bit of truth to that. So I called him up and asked if he'd be available, and he went to Ball State. So getting a chance to play in Muncie at a bar he used to go to when he was a student at Ball State was really exciting to him. It was a place called the Herat. It's in downtown Muncie. It looks like an old Viking ale house. It's such a cool place, and really cheap drinks too, like $3 Guinnesses. I ain't mad. And so like, okay, all right, I have a band, go ahead and book me. Okay, cool. What's your guys' name? I don't know. Chris and Matt. We're called Chris and Matt. That name sucks. We need a better name. Okay, well, and actually it's kind of funny that this is right by me. This was not a planned prop. I really did just want to have a drink of whiskey while I was talking to you, but I was drinking some Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey. This is not a plug. This is not a paid plug. I just enjoy the whiskey. And so like, okay, we're called Tully's. I can't just be called the Tullys. It needs something. And I'm a huge fan. And if anybody sees Tully's at the Wakefield, they'll know like half our songs are from an Irish rock band called the Pogues. They were kind of the godfathers of folk punk, Celtic punk. Yeah. Yep. So if you like Dropkick Murphys, Flogging Molly, any of those, you can thank Shane MacGowan and the Pogues for that. And the first bar they ever played in as the Pogues, they went through a few name changes. We're not going to go into the whole history of the Pogues, but they went through a few name changes. But the very first place that they played as the Pogues was this bar, and I'm going to butcher the name, but I think it was called something like Pindar at the Wakefield or Pindar of Wakefield. The building still stands, but called the Water Rats now. But I was like, Pindar at the Wakefield. It's where the Pogues played. Okay, we're called Tully's at the Wakefield. That's our name. Okay, perfect, cool. And so we played that show, and it went pretty well, considering I had no voice by the end of it. Like, but the crowd seemed really into it, and it felt better. I definitely noticed like I'm more comfortable if I have someone else on stage with me, rather than all eyes on me. Yeah. It takes the pressure off. And so we played as a duo for a good while. We played St. Patrick's Day last year at the Slippery Noodle and the Snug, which is this cool new Irish pub in Irvington, who will be hosting us again this year as well.
Right on.
Yeah, and so we played as a duo for a good couple of years, but we knew that we wanted more. We wanted someone who could play some good leads, play some good tunes, someone playing fiddle or some along those lines. And there's a session I play every so often up in Carmel. And there's this girl who she and I play together pretty well, but she's always so busy. But her schedule opened up over the last few months, so I pitched her the idea. I said, "Hey, Tully's would like a fiddle player. You want to join?" She was in. So so her name is Robin Jetlica. She's probably going to be the most trained of the Irish musicians of the three of us. She studied under a lot of really good players and a lot of good sessions up in Chicago, Illinois. Came down here to go to college and just stuck around, and thank God for that, because she brings the talent level of the group up quite a bit.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
So with the Tullys, do you do others' music, or are you doing your own now?
So I've ever since I was a kid, I really wanted to be a songwriter. There's only one problem. I can't write songs. I've tried. I've genuinely tried, and I've played in bands with some of the best songwriters I've ever known, and that just hasn't rubbed off on me, unfortunately. So, and that's kind of the beauty that's one nice thing about playing Irish music is if you can write songs, awesome. If you're the Pogues, if you're Flogging Molly, and you can write good Irish music, awesome. But if you can't, if you're just going to rely on some of the pub classics and, covering some of the newer songs, that's okay. It's actually, you're going to see a lot more Irish bands would fall under the cover band category.
Okay.
Especially those playing Irish traditional music. There are a few that do write original. Like, there are some really good musicians who can write their own tunes, which is really pretty impressive and pretty awesome. And a few others nowadays, like Lee Banjo 3, who write their own music and actually got one of their songs on CMT for a little while, which is pretty cool. So there is original Irish music still being played and created, but I am not of the creative talent enough to be able to be among those. So I'm happy just keep the tradition alive through the songs that I like to share.
I'm not a songwriter, I'm not a singer, and I'm not a musician, but I use a bunch of different computer programs and write music.
Okay.
That I can see. I can hear something in my head. You'll be just sitting on a toilet or out in the yard cutting grass or something. You just start singing.
You get the shower thoughts. Yeah.
And you just start singing it, and you be like, "Oh, I kind of like that. That sounds good." And you go back in and write it down. And so I do all that, and then after a time, I was like, "Man, I like that right there. I wish I could figure out how to write a song, and I can't." Now all this technology out here, I'll take like a half of a page or a verse that I wrote, and I'll throw it into a program and let the program finish the song, and then I'll sit there and I'll read it and read it and read it, and then I'll get a tune and a beat to my head, and I'll sit there and I'll go in there and I'll play with these music instruments and be like, find something that I like, and then I'll just start playing with it, and eventually I get a drum and a guitar and a keyboard. And then I'll make a song.
Is this like a garage? Is this like Garage Band, like that kind of platform?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay,
kinda.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it in there for the genre, like rock, country, whatever I want. And then it'll say, please say the following words, and you say a whole paragraph, and then they take your voice and they convert it some way and make you sing the song, whether it's a female, an old man, a young man.
Oh wow! So it's like,
yeah, I got 2 songs that's released on every platform right now that I made, that I put out, that are for my movie, but then I just put 2 more out on YouTube that's original and nothing to do with the movie. But I write them, and I write half of them, and then they write the rest. But I got an Irish song that I was working on that I'm actually trying to write the whole thing.
There you go.
In a songwriter platform. So I got the music, and my inspiration was like Dropkick Murphys,
Celtic.
Yes. Yes. And Celtic Woman.
Oh, yeah. Celtic Woman. Yeah.
Yep. So I take inspiration.
Thank you for saying Celtic, by the way, because I know so many people who will say Celtic. So
yeah, it's Celtic.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
Yep. I'm Irish by nationality too.
Okay,
so
yeah, lineage.
Yeah, and my wife is too.
Cool.
I think her family was like, I don't want to pronounce it right. Is it Kirk or something like that? Kent something?
Are you talking about like the family name, or are you talking about like the county?
The city.
Oh, Cork.
That's it.
Okay,
that's where her family's from, and mine's from Dublin.
Okay, yeah. So my dad was born in Dublin, but he spent a long time. He spent a good couple of years down in Cork. We have friends who have a horse farm down in it's a tiny little village with the most adorable name you've ever heard. It's a place called Belgooly in County Cork.
Hey, that was in a movie.
What movie?
Oh Lord, I might have to go back and find it for you. But it was a movie about a lady who lived. She raised eggs. That's all she did. She took eggs from her farm and took them into this little tiny village that had nothing but a pub and a little market type thing outside, and a little inn, and that was it. And that was the name of the little village.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's only a couple miles, maybe 30 minutes from Cork or something like that.
Yeah, it's not. It's a little bit outside of Cork City, but yeah, I mean, Cork itself, like County Cork, is a pretty, compared to some of the other counties in Ireland, it's definitely one of the more geographically larger.
Yeah, I was counties. Trying to look around and see where our family came from, and what can we do if we go over here and visit, and so I came across that town. I came across I couldn't pronounce half some of the towns.
Oh god, yeah. If you're going into actual Gaelic, like my dad can speak a good amount of Irish Gaelic language. I can't. Although our oldest daughter's name rather, her name's Aoife, spelled Aoife, which has
Okay.
confused a lot of people. We had to give her an Irish name. We didn't have a choice. We not just because of my lineage. Like I mean,
Yeah.
that played a part. But last time we went to Ireland was for my Uncle Seamus's 80th birthday, and we're all converging. So my dad's the youngest of 10, and so I have more cousins than I'll ever get to actually meet. But a bunch of us converge from America, Australia, France, England. I know I'm missing at least one other country. We all converged into Dublin that weekend for his birthday, which is awesome. And
Wow.
I'm a huge soccer fan. And the American men's national team was actually playing a friendly against Ireland in Dublin at the same time as Seamus's damn birthday party, so I couldn't go. So me and a bunch of my cousins so you had the ballroom where the party was, and then we go out to the bar, and to get a few drinks, obviously. But then also they had this game on the TV, so
exactly. That was what y'all was going out to the bar for. Watching
so we'd go and
TV.
watch.
I need a drink. I'll be back.
We went on an absolute tangent there. But yeah. So long story short, 3 days before our flight, Kelsey was just like, "Chris, I think I need to take a test. Like, you good? Yeah. I just need to be sure of something because something might be up." And sure enough, yeah, we were having a baby, and then she was going to Ireland to meet my entire extended family, and she couldn't drink a drop. So I had to drink for two.
Oh yeah, you know what happens when you get a bunch of drunk Irishmen together? It's a party.
Oh my gosh! No, we were up until 5 o'clock in the morning, just hanging. Even after the party was done, like a bunch of us were still just hanging with a bottle in the hotel lobby and just
kicking it.
Yeah. It was good crack. It's St. Patrick's Day, so everyone needs to know crack, not the kind you smoke from a pipe, not CRACK, CRAIC. It just means fun. But yeah, so going back, so Tully's the Wakefield. So going back to talk about the shows.
Yes.
I could talk about my trip to Ireland way too much, and I'm not gonna make you guys look at my whole slideshow pictures or anything like that. But yeah. So this year, Tully's Wakefield is really cool because we get a slot at the Rathskeller. Dan called me and said, "Hey, I want to do some Irish music on Saturday as well. I already had the Irish Airs booked on Friday and Monday rather. We could do more Irish Airs if you guys have the bandwidth, but I think I remember you saying you have another band, right? Yeah, we do. I do. Are you interested?" And so I was like really, really excited, because it's really cool that I get to keep my family tradition going with the Irish Airs and that show, but getting a chance to bring a band that I've been able to build and been able to kind of do my way and bring that in. That's been really cool. So we are playing there on Saturday, March 15th. That goes from 3 until 6. Hopefully in the beer garden. We'll watch the weather report and see how we're looking. But the beauty about the Rathskeller is that if you can't play in the beer garden, there's that beautiful ballroom, which is where we played for St. Patrick's Day for the longest time. It's pretty recent that we started doing the beer garden, so I am fine in that ballroom as well. Plus, that's the room where my wife and I got married. It's the room where I met Matt Seaver. So I was playing in a band with another girl way back when, and she wanted to bring a friend. And okay, yeah, bring everyone you want. And we end up talking a bit, and he says he plays guitar and likes Irish music. And I'm like, "Dude, you play guitar and you like Irish music and you're under the age of 60? We should talk." And we played every genre except for Irish music together until really the last few years. We started a bluegrass band called the Bearded Lucy's. I still play. He and I are in a country band together with a bunch of guys who used to do heavy metal, which is a more natural progression than you'd think. That band's called Union Suit Rally. And after St. Patrick's Day, I will be happy to sit down with you again with those guys and talk about that. But yeah, so getting a chance to play a show with Matt in the room where I first met Matt, that's going to be a really special thing for us.
Yeah, that sounds like, that's a good spot to do it all back right where it started at.
Run it all back. That's right.
Yep. And yeah, I would definitely come back in here with you again on another show after St. Patty's Day.
That'd be awesome.
And talk about some more things and promote some more stuff for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can also, like we were talking about, I'm gonna possibly come out and maybe film some things for you.
Man, yeah. We're not going to stop you.
Well, I have a show on the 16th that I'm going to be a panelist at. So those cool. 3 days are perfect because I ain't got nothing to do.
There you go. So that's my day of rest as well. Yeah, the 16th is the one day where my wife convinced me not to take any bookings that day. Have a day to recover and then hit it back again on the 17th and then be done.
Yeah,
I'm old now. I can't go. Yeah, I can't go like I could when I was 27.
Right. I can't even work half the shows I used to work. But, since I got into filmmaking last year, I put that one film out and I'm trying to get myself out there. Getting on the Comic-Con was amazing.
Yeah, and that's really cool. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. So getting on that to be able to talk about the film and then working with artists such as yourself and the wrestlers and actors. That's why I put this podcast together, is because I do so many shows and I've worked with so many people that I was like, I make connections with people.
Yeah.
And, there's stories there. And, my podcast is like the backyard. You come, there's a bonfire, grab your beer, you smoke, light up, sit back, chill, and just talk.
Yeah.
I like my podcast to be that way because I want you to be natural,
keep it casual,
relaxed, all the way. And it's uncensored, so I have no restrictions. You want it?
Why have you been watching my fucking language this whole time then?
The only thing I avoid on a whole level is politics and religion because that can start arguments.
Yeah, well, and we'll save that one for another day.
Yeah, right. So I want everybody to know that they can find Chris's bands through Facebook. They will be a link at the end of the interview here. I'll put the links and the locations where you can go find him and find his bands. I'll also put the dates up for all 3 shows for each band.
4 shows. So we have the 3 shows for the Rascaller, and then yeah, I guess we haven't really had a chance to talk about the block party in Irvington yet.
Yep, the block party. Yep.
That's what I get for bringing a bottle of whiskey to this conversation. I'm just going all over the place. Yeah. So.
Oh no, it's good.
Yeah. So this is actually one I really want to talk about because this is such a cool place and a cool event. And yeah, so the place is called the Snug. It's a new Irish pub on the east side of Indianapolis in Irvington, right in the heart of Irvington, like on Audubon, just to the north of the circle.
Okay.
Of the Circle, not Monument Circle, just for anyone who isn't quite familiar with the area. They opened last year, and 2 months after they opened, they had a pretty big kind of a backyard party, not too dissimilar than what you were just kind of describing with your podcast. They set up a stage in the backyard behind their building. They had a beer truck and a food truck out there, and it was, who was the opener? I think Alair, which is a very soothing Celtic trio, kicked things off, and then the Dirty Tweeds, who will be back this year. They are kind of a full Celtic punk experience. You have electric bass, guitar, full drum set, mandolin, accordion, tin whistle. So they're a bit more of a full-fledged Celtic punk experience. And then we finished out the night, and then us and the Tweeds kind of did a few songs together as an encore in the crowd, which was really, really fun. And so this year it's going to be even bigger. They're going to have a couple tents out. They're going to shut down that part of Audubon right in front of the Snug. They're going to have the stage under a tent, which will be good, especially looking at the weather report. A tent will be good to have. They'll have a couple other vendors, a lot of food. They're obviously going to be serving beer. Strange Bird, which is a cocktail bar a few doors down from the Snug, is going to have their own specialty cocktail that they'll be serving. And then music all day. I think Laughing Jack is starting it off. I think they're calling themselves Blatherskite. It's a couple of dudes I actually get to play with in Carmel every once in a while in a session. They're just going to bring their instruments and play for a little bit, just kind of casual and fun. There's a YouTube tribute band. I want to say they're called a Beautiful Day. They play at 5 o'clock, I think. And then Tully's of the Wakefield, we play at 7, and then the Dirty Tweeds ended all at 8:30. I think it's $5 to get in that. Yeah, that's the one show that we have that does have an admission, but it is all ages. It's only $5, which is nothing. Those are inflation-proof prices. Say that 5 times fast.
Right.
And it's supporting just a really cool new.
I mean, they're gonna spend that amount of. They're gonna spend that on the first drink anyway.
Easily. Especially the drinks they have there. Like I love my Irish whiskey, as you can tell, and they have a whole wall of just like a lot of cool whiskeys that you wouldn't be able to find other places.
And yeah, make sure you send me those all 4 of these dates so I get them all correct and in order.
Oh, absolutely will. Yeah.
Because I'm gonna come out to. I'll probably come out to that one too and record it.
That one's gonna be a really cool one, I think. As long as the weather cooperates.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, knowing them, they're working on backup plans, and there are a few options around that I think they'll be able to take advantage of. Hopefully, if things go sideways. But you know what? I don't know why we're worrying about it. It's gonna be great. The weather's gonna be fine.
Exactly.
But yeah, even if you don't come to the event, like I will absolutely plug the hell out of the Snug. Excuse me. Like it's small. It's a small little pub. The name fits, but it's just a really genuinely good group of people who are running it, and I've never had a bad time hanging out in that place. So I'm glad to see that they're doing something that they're going for.
And what's that date?
That will be right after a Rascaller show with Tully's of the Wakefield. So that's March 15th.
March 15th?
Yeah, it's gonna be a tight turnarob.
That's Saturday, right? Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll be there at that show. I'll come out to that.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, come say hey. That's gonna be fun though, because we're done with the Rascaller at 6, and basically it's gonna be thanks guys, unplug, throw our shit in the car, and then just hightail it down Washington Street. Hopefully traffic cooperates, and then we'll throw down at the Irvington Block Party.
What time is your show at the Rascaller on Saturday?
So Rascaller's from 3 to 6.
3 to 6.
Yeah, okay. In the afternoon, and then Snug is at 7 o'clock. So it's gonna be
I'll probably be bustling with you.
There you go.
All right, yeah. So make sure you guys check the Chris's bands out. He's got Irish music. He's got the venues that are just historic, and this new ones that he's playing on March 15th. It's something new that's coming out, the Snug. Make sure you guys check that out as well. And when you hear about Irish music, you just got to take it into context that if you haven't heard it before, give it a try. You never know. There's lots of different genres in Irish music.
This is 100% true. If you don't like the folkier sounds of like the Dubliners or the Clancy Brothers, you might like the Step Up with the Pogues, or you might like just the absolute balls out punk rock of the Dropkick Murphys with tin whistle and mandolin and banjo just kind of sprinkled in.
Yeah.
There's definitely a wide range of Irish music, which I appreciate about it for sure.
Yes, that's what makes it unique, that you could grasp a hold of something from the nation there, that learning about my roots. I try to dive in and learn as much as I can, and I've come to like pretty much 90% of the Irish music that I've came across so far, because it's got a sense that just you can be in a certain mood or a certain feeling, and you can grab that music, and it just calms you down or gets you hyped up for what you need to be hyped up for. So
aside from, so you and I talked about Dropkick Murphys already. Like, what other Irish music have you find yourself kind of enjoying?
Flogging Molly was one.
Oh yeah.
Like I said earlier, Celtic Woman.
Oh yeah.
There's another band there. I can't think of it. It's a trio of 3 women. One of them plays an electric violin. the other one sings, and I think the other one has a fiddle or some. It's a weird looking thing like a violin, but it's not a violin. I don't know what it
Like
is.
a
It's
cello or okay, or
yeah, it's a
figurine
little
maybe.
thing she holds up on her chin. It's real small and tiny, kind of like a little ukulele, but shaped all kinds of weird looking.
Okay, all right.
There, there's a lot of different rock bands and punk bands that I've listened to. I just can't give you the names right off the top of my head because,
Oh, sure, yeah, they come up on a Spotify playlist, and you just kind of just let the vibes
yeah,
flow. Yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. If I wasn't playing the music, I probably wouldn't be as worried about, like I wouldn't be paying as close attention to who the artist is. But especially if it's a song that I like, and if I can see that it's not under too much copyright protection, I might try to lift it for myself anyway. So I might that'll definitely have me a little more invested.
yeah, yep. That's what gets me is I love finding new music and new artists because it expands not only my social base and my networking, it also gives me an opportunity to learn something new and spread it.
Hmm.
Because if I like it, half the people that follow me and tune in, they pretty much like the same music that I listen to. So when I spread it, they're like, "Hey, who's this?" And then
There
that
you go.
blows up. So,
Yeah. All right.
anything else you would like to cover before we get to the end?
I mean, we can go for another hour and talk about Irish movies, but I think now's probably a good place to wrap it up.
um, guys, make sure you check Chris out. And if you have any questions or anything for him, reach out to me and I'll pass them on to him and he'll get back in touch with you. Uh, make sure you got March 14th, the 15th, and the 17th coming up. 4
Right.
different shows, 2 on Saturday. I'll have all these details at the end of the video for you guys, and then I'll repost it again on my Facebook. So check it out and stay tuned. Thank you. Thanks for coming out, Chris. I appreciate it very much.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course.